Welcome back, or welcome rather, should I say, to the No Rep podcast. Are we going with that name?
The currently named No Rep podcast.
No Rep podcast, but it's also not a CrossFit podcast as well, just to put that out there. I'm Jordan. I'm the main host. Is that right? For today, we'll mix it up.
We'll let him think he's the main host.
I'm with Evan and Danny, and today, I guess we're just going to talk about a couple of things, but one of them is going to be what people Google. Yeah, that makes sense from like a fitness and health perspective.
Yep.
But before all that, we can go through and just chat about who we are very, very briefly, because the last podcast we did,
It
was a bit long-winded, so we'll try and shorten it as much as we can. Evan, we'll start with you, brother.
Chuck me under the bus again.
Yeah, under the bus again, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've had more time.
I've had weeks, weeks to practice this. I'm an online fat loss coach. Been training people in person for probably the best part of it 8 years or so. When the pandemic hit, flipped online and I've not really looked back since. It's been dynamite.
Nice, man. Danny?
My name is Danny.
From the south side.
From the south side.
Daniel from the south side.
I get flashbacks. bad flashbacks. Danny, I am a transformation coach. Looking down the lens. From south side of Glasgow. And I've been online since 2000 and pandemic hit, whatever year that was, 2020. And never looked back. Love it.
Nice. I'm Jordan, as I said, the main host of the podcast. I am I guess probably first CrossFit coach. Then kind of reverted into PT/online coach. We all want to be online coaches these days, so business is starting to turn towards that, and that's basically it. Short version: CrossFit, strength, and online training.
Yes, boy.
So after that short intro, I guess what we're going to get fired into is some of the main things that people might Google when they want to make a change or they want to start on something, right? So I'm going to chuck something up, right? And just off the cuff, okay? So we'll go, what is...
What was that?
This is when the internet goes down.
What is the best exercise to lose weight? What is the best exercise to lose weight? That was the first thing that came up in Google. Hit me.
All of them.
Everyone.
No, tell me how.
See, I think especially when people are kind of starting a journey or whatever, the first thing that they focus on is exercise, which is absolutely fine. It's like, obviously you need to get fitter, you need to kind of change your body and whatever, but it's obviously diet's the biggie. So that's where I would be directing my attention. In terms of actual expenditure and stuff, it could, how long's a piece of string? It could be anything. Gun to my head, if I had one exercise to do, it'd be a deadlift.
Right, okay.
Obviously.
Okay.
But does that mean it's the best for fat loss? Not necessarily.
If someone was obviously exercise is one of the main things that people do go to look at when they want to lose fat or lose strength, or not lose strength, sorry, lose fat in certain areas, definitely not lose strength.
Talks to strength coach.
I know. What would you recommend for someone just starting out, like they've not done anything before? What would you say?
In terms of exercise?
Yeah, in terms of exercise, what would you say that people should start off with?
If they've never done anything at all before?
Complete newbie.
Just moving.
Completely, literally steps.
Aye.
They've never done anything, just up your step count and then take it for there. Like,
why steps? Why not something like Zumba or CrossFit or strength training? Like, why would
because
you
obviously
if
they've never done a single exercise before, so we're taking that into consideration, then think about how extreme it would be. Go from 0 to maybe a Zumba class, or 0 to a CrossFit, or 0 to 100, I would say start with steps. Week 1, week 2, then you would start introducing exercise. But there's exercises that I personally go to with people, and a lunge is like one of the simplest, I think, exercise to perform. Very hard to fuck up. So some simple things like that, do you know what I mean? A lunge, a wall push up, if they've literally not got the strength. Depends where they're at. Like, they could be someone that's never exercised, but they're maybe strong. So it really depends, you know what I mean?
Right, but depends person to person.
Depends person to person.
You see as well, it's a very low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So see if there's ever like friction associated with anything, people will generally kind of struggle to do it. So it's easy to do. kind of recoverability from it's like you're not going to be fatigued. Kind of do, well, you might be depending who you are, but like it's easy. It's an in. Then obviously, kind of over time that habit builds and whatever. So that's where we're going. It's all habit building.
So instead of them focusing on one specific exercise to lose fat, they should just look at being generally more active, stepping, walking,
100%,
increasing.
It's going to be everything. It's simple that like there's no exercise, but we can all agree that a calorie deficit is the absolute. It won't be accomplished without a calorie deficit being there. That's in the way of diet and exercise.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yes, you could just focus on the diet side of things and achieve a calorie deficit. I've actually done a post on it today. Like, what would happen if you
Subtle
look
plug there.
If you look at
Danny Reshape,
Danny_Reshape. If you look at like, so I've asked it. If you asked anybody, like, show me a picture of somebody that you absolutely want to look like. Most of the time, 99% of the time, they lift weights. We can agree on that, right? If we can agree on that. They've not just went in a calorie deficit with hee-haw else being done.
Right.
So I think lifting weights would be the best exercise for weight loss.
Right. Okay.
I think that a calorie deficit being accomplished through diet and exercise is going to be the best exercise for weight loss. Do you know what I mean?
Right, we're going to the next one, right? So I've typed in how to lose, and then the first thing that's came up is how to lose weight fast, right? There's a couple others underneath it, but we'll touch on that. What's your thoughts on that as a kind of question that's the most common question?
Lose it fast, gain it fast.
Say that again.
Lose it fast, gain it fast.
Clap that.
Soundbite
that. Yeah.
Lose it fast, gain it fast.
Right,
like,
okay. Tell me more.
Well, the quicker you lose it, have you really done damage? Have you lost fat? If you're losing it really, really quick, have you lost fat? Have you lost water? Like, have you just lost weight? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, which could be, what is weight? Like, there's so many ways, there's so many things when you lose weight that you lose, but for a long-standing result, you're obviously looking for fat loss, right? Like, we can agree there. Looking for fat loss, right?
For sure.
So a quick result, like a quick weight loss result, I'm pretty much guarantee it's going to bounce back quick, innit? Like, what was the chances that was actually fat that you were losing if it was quick? So I would say don't look for a quick result. Play the long game. Like, aim for a longer period of time instead of just looking for the quick results. It just brings you right back to people saying, I want to lose a couple of stone for holiday, or I'm not going to say who, but like your sister would be like, I'm just jumping on a week's detox or a week's cleanse or a week's whatever, and they just fire on it for a week just because they want to lose a few pounds, and then they go back and they go on holiday first day, bounce back. Like, you've all heard that people say that they jump on something and then it was just quick results. 2 weeks later they end up gaining back more than what they took off. So
I think this is always the kind of issue with it as well, is that folk are always want to lose weight for X reason. So something that's maybe quite superficial or surface level, like going on holiday to Ibiza, they might do slim fast or go to the gym or whatever it is they do. They lose their weight and then it piles back on after it, like without actually, they never really address why they were in that situation in the first place. Like, rightly or wrongly, it doesn't matter, but you need to kind of get to the fundamental reason as to why they have ended up in that situation.
Stick as well.
Yeah.
What would you say to a client? So clients come on board with you and they're like that, I want to lose 2 stone in a month, or they've put some really, really high stress target and they've thrown it at you and they're expecting you to give them that result. Like, what would you then kind of come back and say? Or would you say yes? Or would you say, what would you dive into?
No, you would need to just manage expectations with that. Like, be realistic. You could, I suppose, realistically lose something that kind of drastic. You would be miserable. You wouldn't be eating. You'd be walking all the time. It's not healthy. It's not reinforcing kind of good habits or a good relationship with yourself, with food, with whatever. And it would just be a case of managing expectations. That's not what I'm about. That's not what my coaching's about, or the people on my team are about. Like, it's very much about the kind of the longer vision for people and kind of embedding habits and whatever, so that they don't actually need to diet again, you know. So when they finish working with me, they'll be able to do it themselves. That is generally the kind of shtick.
Yeah, the kind of goal of it. I think it's what everybody wants. They want things now. Like, they don't want things in 6 months' time. And it's very, very hard to get people to kind of reframe their mindset or reframe like their thought process behind attaining goals or attaining large goals. And we've all probably been there.
It's that instant gratification syndrome.
Yeah, well, yeah, instant gratification. Like, that's exactly it. And it's quite hard, and it's took me a long time to then realise that, you know, having that instant gratification is not going to get you what you want long term.
Mhm.
Like, you do need to play the long game, like you said at the start. It has to be something that you implement small changes to begin with, and then over time you then, you know, begin to unravel and get closer to your goal. And instead of being more goal orientated, you end up becoming more focused on the process. It's a bit cheesy to say,
No,
or
but
a bit
you're right,
like
man.
cliche to say, but it's only cliche to say because it is true. Like, you do have to somewhat become obsessed with the process of doing these things rather than become like outcome processed,
Aye.
I guess.
I mean, know what you want to achieve, but
yeah,
as soon as you know it, right, cool. Look at the
you have to live what those people do. Like, if you look at someone that's successful, you look at someone that's bench pressing God knows what, or is shredded, whatever, you have to do what these people do day in, day out, not just when you feel like it. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's like I say to clients a lot of time, you wake up, and this was I was a book. I think it was Jocko Willink.
Jocko Willink. Was it
Willink.
Extreme Ownership?
No,
I've read that one.
I can't even remember.
It's a bit intense.
This one again
Really
was
easy.
half it was good, then half it started talking
I
about.
listened to it in Audible, and he's very intense. He's like
Aye.
scary when you listen to it. It's like you're
Aye.
getting into trouble with your dad or something like that when you're listening to
Literally,
it.
that's what it feels like. But he said something, and it was talking about discipline. It was like when you wake, like you're saying, doing the wee bits every day. Like when you wake up, and I say it to people all the time, and it actually rings true to myself. Like, I do it now. So you wake up, and if you cannot be arsed, right, you're like, oh no, man, I don't want to work out. I don't want to go to the gym. I just don't want to, right? I don't want to cook the meal I have to cook for lunch or whatever. See, if you just don't, that's you, like your discipline's out the window. Do you know what I mean? And then how easy is it going to be for that discipline to continue to go at that before you know it? It's another day. Just wake up and go, right, I will do it today, but I'll rest tomorrow. And then you just push through it. Even if you're not in the mood, like you say, you have to, like, even if you're not in the mood today, just get it done, man. And then the next day, what's the chances you're probably not going to do it? You're probably going to feel a lot better. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be in a better mindset.
Some people might say that's easy to say, like, oh, just get up and do it. Like, what would you say to someone that's genuinely struggling? Like, that's genuinely like not finding, maybe not the motivation, but just doesn't have the right drive to do something. Like, what would you say to that person?
I give people a kind of almost like a kind of bandwidth of things to achieve. So like, best case scenario, I want to achieve this from like tomorrow. Worst case scenario, this is the minimum that I'll do. So there's always, so even if they do the absolute bare minimum, they're still kind of finishing with a win, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. Aye.
So that can be applied to like literally whatever. So it could be fitness, whatever you want to do. So you have a kind of maximum bandwidth, perfect scenario. This is what my day is going to look like. Minimum, that's what I'm going to do. So that buy-in for the minimum kind of requirement for that day is much, much lower, and it's easy to achieve. Again, it's a low-hanging fruit. That could literally be get out of bed, make food, go a walk.
Aye, and they've still somewhat won the day.
Yeah, yep. And then tomorrow's the same, and tomorrow, and then you scaffold it, and you just add in a wee bit, you add in a wee bit.
Yeah, I quite like that. I think I've had that with some of the clients that I work with just now, and that, you know, before signing up with me, they would have maybe, or to anyone for that instance, like any good coach would hopefully do this, where, for example, when they're kind of self-sabotaging, or where they're kind of had a bad week, they'll maybe eat a lot of food, or they'll have a few pints, or they'll drink too much at the weekend, they'll stay out late, they'll sleep horribly. Like, when they come and hopefully sign up to my program, I had this with one of my clients, Mark. He had one of those weeks where everything was going wrong for him. You know, it was when the Old Firm was on. He went out midweek, had a few pints, and then it just kind of was a catalyst for all bad things that happened the remainder of the week and the week following. However, the difference was between what happened then and what used to happen beforehand is that he still trained. Like, whereas he never used to do that before.
Yep.
And like, it's okay for that to happen every now and then. I think people have this kind of warped expectation that if they sign up to a PT, or if they want to improve their health and fitness, it's just going to be perfect all the time. Like, and that's just doesn't happen. Like, it's never going to happen. It's never going to be, you're never going to have a perfect week from week 1 to week 12, or, you know, month 1 to month 6. It's just not the case. And if it is the case, that person's a unicorn. You need to capture them, right? So you can bring them in for testing and kind of figure out who this person is, because, you know, unless you're maybe potentially like the best in the world at something, you're never going to be spot on at something every single day, every single week, every single minute. You're going to have slip ups. And framing that to potential people or clients or people you've got in your team, and making them aware that that's okay. Like, but you were better than who you were last month.
100%.
So you just keep climbing
Without
that
a
way.
doubt, man.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I jump in with one?
Jump in, yeah.
That I think people would Google.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What are the best low-calorie snacks?
Okay, aye, right.
Right, and then I'll flip that as well. Like,
That needs to. I'll leave that to you guys because I'm not about low calorie
no,
snacks.
why do your snacks need to be low calorie?
Okay,
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like why? And I think,
expand on that. I like that.
yeah, I think. Well, I work predominantly with kind of like weight loss clients and stuff, right? Fat loss, whatever. That's absolutely fine. So they're always, or they've maybe been kind of yo-yo dieters or whatever for years. So it's always this kind of almost Slimming World Weight Watchers, like we can't have a lot, looking for things to fit into their kind of poverty calories or whatever.
Poverty calories.
I know this is a good one, isn't it? In how long can people actually do that? How long do you want to be having, I can have this rice cake with one strawberry on it and a lick of peanut butter? Like, this is a diet, it's only 100 calories. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, why? Food's not the bad guy. Like, generally, it's all it is fuel, it's just calories and stuff. Like, the issue is people aren't spending, or in my opinion, aren't spending enough time kind of building muscle and actually trying to put on a bit of tissue first. Obviously, being in an energy surplus or whatever, that's absolutely right. But then that kind of comes back to people's relationships with themselves, like scared of calories because I'm going to put on fat and whatever. But I just don't think it's a way to live forever. Like trying to have like tiny wee snacks and whatever just because it's under 100 calories or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there is a place for them, but
I know it's not me, and I think I've never been one that's been like, you know, opting for skinny bars instead of having, I don't know, something else, for example. Or I guess I'm a little bit different, and the guys that I tend to work with most are a little bit different from you guys. Is that I'm, you know, telling a lot of my guys to eat, you know, 1 or 2 Rice Krispie squares before they train, so they've got enough energy to train. Because
banana bread and custard,
so that they've actually got fuel to perform. Because my big thing and my whole shtick is performance, and that it's very, very unlikely that you get someone that's able to perform really, really well look bad, if that makes sense. Like if I have someone that's able to run a sub 2 hour half marathon, squat double their body weight, bench their body weight for, I don't know, 10-15 reps, chances are they're going to look in shape. You know what I mean? Whether they have a couple of extra calories here or there or
props
not.
at rugby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what profit rugby's on a sub 2 hour half marathon?
There's going to be one.
Yeah, there'll be an outlier out there.
A unicorn.
Huh?
A unicorn.
A unicorn. Capture them. So it's not, that's something that's never really kind of been in my scope, for example. But people like, say my mum or mother-in-law, whatever, they all, I say mother-in-law, we're not married yet.
Shout out Katie's mum.
Yeah, shout out Katie's mum. She will love that, by the way.
Katie, that was a proposal. I think.
Also, the last Katie was wondering why didn't you shout me out in the last podcast? And I went, well, I kind of did, but it was because I was said I was going to dump you because we ordered in too much food. Remember that? So I was like, well, I'll save it for the shout out for the next one. So Katie's one man, Katie can get one. Where was I going with that?
No idea.
I forgot.
Low calorie snacks.
Yeah, low calorie snacks. Like they will, like my mum or Katie's mum will always buy those kind of lower calorie options, lower calorie this, lower calorie that, for that exact reason, because they don't look at the big picture. They think that maybe snacking is a problem, but the fact that they're maybe over consuming the rest of the day is the actual problem, or they're not moving enough is the actual problem, you know? Plus at the end of the day, like those wee snacks, like you have one of them, it only makes you more hungry. Like it only makes you think, oh, I'm actually hungry, I could eat something else, and you end up raiding the cupboards. Here's another thing. See, for people that find themselves grazing and snacking at home, you actually made a post about this before, right? Probably.
I've done a few.
You've done a few. Just don't buy the things. Like, just don't buy the things that you snack on in your house. Like, people are, I eat crisps and that all the time. Just don't buy them.
I know.
It's not hard.
If it's not in the house, you can't eat it.
If it's not in the house, you can't eat it. And then the thought of like, oh, well, I need to get in the car and then drive to the shops and then buy a packet of crisps. Like, you're not going to do that.
So then what would you say to somebody that, what about if their partner's still eating crisps?
Get rid of them.
Yeah, that's a good shout. You'd need to then, it could go 2 ways. You can have a little bit of a laugh and joke about it, being like, stop buying that. Or it could be like, if you feel like your partner or somebody you live with is like potentially sabotaging like your goal, you need to maybe have a conversation with them and be like, this is something that I really, really want. Can you help me get on board with it?
I've actually had instances and periods with when someone's on a weight loss journey or whatever, and obviously there does need to be a period of restriction for a while. Their partners are kind of flaunting takeaways and stuff in front of them, like deliberately.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's like, especially when you're starting a journey, you need to make sure that the people in your kind of support bubble and stuff are absolutely on board
They
with
need
it.
to
That
be
doesn't mean they necessarily need to
Do the
change what they're doing or whatever. Absolutely fucking not.
Just need to be
That's not a
supportive,
thing.
man.
But they
Yeah.
need to have a bit of compassion. Is that the word I want to use?
You need a support network when you're
Same
doing
way you
this
wouldn't
stuff.
offer an alcoholic alcohol.
No.
I mean, it's not as extreme.
Chucking a pint in front of
I
you.
you want a pint, and the guys feel, oh,
Fuck. It's taking away a turn.
yeah, I know. But it's maybe not as serious, but it's the same sort of message, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it's sabotage at the end of the day, isn't
Yeah.
it? And if that person does care for you, then they're going to want you to succeed. Well, you would think, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And if they don't, it's maybe not the person.
And this is the
for you.
thing, though, because sometimes, but this is getting quite deep, man. Like,
I like
people
it.
are in
I like it.
relationships and stuff, they might see your growth as an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So they might see you getting fitter, you getting whatever, as them being left behind.
That's not spoken about enough, and I think
Not
that is
enough.
super common. It's probably very, very common between you guys, and because at the end of the day, like it's that kind of like, I don't know, old thing where if you get a girlfriend, you get a boyfriend, and then you start to care less about what you're eating, or you start to care less about how much you're drinking, and you kind of maybe let your standards slip a bit. It's quite common that happens in relationships, and then when somebody does want to flip the switch and be like, oh no, I want to make a change, or I want to go back to where I used to be, or even surpass that, and then you're right, like you might have your partner, your other half kind of pulling you back a wee
Not
bit.
everyone likes change. Not everyone's
No.
ready for change. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? A
true.
lot of times, so one partner might be ready for this massive change in their life. The other one might be like, I didn't think it was a problem. Don't understand it, maybe.
So what do you do in that situation as a coach? Like, would you tell a client who is maybe having a bit of a struggle with their partner because they are holding them back? It's maybe not their partner, it could be their mum or their dad or someone that they're living with.
Always talk. They need to talk. They need to be vocal.
Right.
I feel like sometimes that isn't always maybe comfortable for somebody, but I think they need to get them on board. They need to tell them why they're doing it. They need to make them understand. They need to get people on their side. Do you know what I mean? But I guess this is, as a coach, that's why you're here, because you can be that person on their side. Do you know what I mean? When we build with our Facebook groups, that's a place where people can feel a bit more comfortable when it become to team huddles, the open offices and whatever like that. That's a place maybe where that extra bit of support network, but they maybe feel they're not getting at home and stuff like that. But I do definitely feel it's anybody listening to this, it's your duty to support your partner in any journey like that, the weight loss journey, the fat loss journey, the muscle building journey, the strength. Like, it's your obligation. Do you know what I mean? Your brothers, your sisters, your mums, and all the rest of it.
I'd say so. Yeah, absolutely.
I think
that's really
there
true.
needs to be a kind of agreeable kind of middle ground between it all, because obviously if you've got, say, like somebody that's, I really want to get fit, and they're kind of pushing towards that kind of lifestyle, and the other person's maybe not going down the opposite road, but just they're maybe not into it. As long as somewhere in the middle's found between you, then that's.
But that's
I think I have that. Like, I'm like obsessed with the gym, obsessed with fitness, train twice a day if I can. Like, I love it. Whereas Katie does not. Like, she's not about that life. She'll go to the gym every now and then. She likes yoga. She does the occasional thing. She likes going out walks, but the gym's just not really a place for her. And it's not to say that she's never been or
And
doesn't go.
It doesn't need to be.
And it doesn't need to be. And we've don't get me wrong, there were struggles, but we've made it work because she understands how much it means to me. And she's then kind of realised, like, well, look, this is obviously something that is his job at the end of the day as well. And it's something that he loves, so why would I stop him from doing that thing? And I think, like you said, if you do have that middle ground, because then I used to take the piss and then just go out for hours and go to the gym all the time. And then I need to be like, well, look, she needs time also. So let's try and make that work. And like you said, find that middle ground. And I think it comes over time. It's never going to just happen right off the bat. Like, you just need to communicate and then work on it. And then it can work, because me and Kate are probably an example of that.
And I think as well,
opposites.
what I've actually seen, and this has happened quite a good few times with clients, is they come to a weekend and they think they can't work out because, like, they want to do something with a partner or whatever, or their friends and that. And I'm like, they can wait that hour in the morning. Like, I'm sure they could wait. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think that then comes down to the kind of the person who's on the journey as well, being aware of the fact that if you just decide to go whenever it suits you, maybe you're being a wee bit like selfish in a way. But if you had all day, but you know you see your partner's time, but you decided to go to gym at that time, maybe you are taking time away from your relationship. Do you know what I mean? So could you manage your time a wee bit better? Could you maybe went at a time where nobody was really needing you in the morning? Do you know what I mean? Like, I guess it comes in a wee bit away. Kind of, you need to look at it for both
Both angles.
Both angles, do you know what I mean?
Totally. Right, we'll move on. I've got another one in, and it's I've typed in how to bench press, and well, there's actually two, right? The first one's how to bench press more, and then the second one underneath it is how to bench press without a bench, which I thought was quite funny. It's just a floor press, isn't it?
Well, that one I don't know how to answer.
How to bench press without a bench. How to drive a car without a car.
Aye.
But yeah, so how to bench press more, right? I'll kick this off. It's been too fat lossy. I need to get a bit of strength in here.
Aye,
CrossFit and that stuff.
Nah. CrossFitters don't bench press. So how to bench press more? I'd say you need to broaden your question and then maybe answer how to lift more or how to progress generally, right? Because regardless of whether you're looking to gain muscle, lose fat, build strength training or progressive overload should be at the forefront of all of that. You know, whether you're, regardless of what your goal is, like progression, doing more should be at the forefront of everything. So if it's fat loss, you're looking to do more steps over time or be more active over time. If it's strength, it's just looking to push more load or more volume over time. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. So you can increase your lifts by doing more reps, doing more sets, doing more, well, that is a combination of that, doing more volume, taking less rest, or doing it more frequently. Those are probably like the 4 or 5 main things that you could do.
And if you're increasing weight, it has to be 20 kilo plates
Only
or nothing else.
only 20 kilo bumper, 20 kilo
Aye.
plates, maybe 10s
Right.
if it's like an overhead press.
Anything under that, you can't,
Anything under
you
that,
can't
it's
go
just what's the
heavier.
point. Actually, I said that to one of my clients. He's going for a PR on something, and it was a 1.25 kilo PR, and I was like, "What's the point? What's the point in that? That's just ego right there." I was like, "Don't PR unless you know it's going to be like 5-10 kilos," because one, it's a little bit more satisfying, and two, you're just doing that to just push numbers. It just becomes an ego-driven thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it was half jokey, half being serious, like because he could have done it, but I was like, "Hold off a wee bit, hold back," and then again that delayed gratification. Getting it down the line.
It'll be better for Instagram if there's more plates on it.
Those are-
Aye,
that's
exactly,
it.
obviously. But if you were to go more specifically into the bench press, I would say something that's helped my bench press, and I did this during lockdown, was probably the frequency in which I was doing it. Doing something more often is going to potentially lead to better results. if
More
that makes sense.
exposure, isn't it?
More exposure.
That's it.
You're learning it. You're getting the groove a little bit, but then that does come with that. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to bench press every single day, and you want to do it safely.
You mean I shouldn't be doing that?
Bench every day? No. Yeah, totally.
Who's
do
the
that.
guy?
Totally do that.
Who's the Russian guy that brought kettlebells to America? Do you know his name?
I don't know.
His name evades me, right? Anyway,
Mr. Kettlebell.
his big, he's like that frequency, so he'll get like 2 or 3 lifts a month and just do them every day, every other day,
I mean,
just
I
to
guess
get really because
Good at
he
them.
basically says like farmers are strong. If anybody knows a farmer,
every farmer I know is
they're
strong.
strong,
Yeah.
right? And
Farmers,
they do like a decent amount of load kind of every day, same shit.
It's just
So that was his theory. It's like you just kind of
Well, as like Evan said, exposure, doing it
Yeah,
frequently enough,
definitely.
and like when during lockdown, I was bench pressing like 3 times a week. Obviously, I was supplementing that with other things. Like people shouldn't just bench press; they should also do things that whatever you push, you should also kind of pull or match the volume in a way, or even increase it. Keep your shoulders healthy and whatnot. But definitely increasing the frequency, but lifting a little bit lighter. Because bench press is one of those things that people go in and they just want to bench as much as they can. You know, for most guys out there, it's like, I want to bench press 100 or I want to bench press 100 for reps. It seems to be that 2 plate thing is something out there. I mean, me and you have both definitely done that.
100%.
Don't know if the big man over here is bench.
bench what? Sorry, say one more time.
bench 100.
Come on, don't be stupid. No, I've never like no.
But it's one of those things. It's one of those goals for most guys out there when they start lifting, having 2 plates on the bar, or whether it
Do you
be
want me to take my hoodie off?
three plates on a squat or 4 plates on a deadlift, whatever it may be, just because it looks nice on it. And I think people want to just put that on the bar and try and lift it, or try and lift high to their, in respective to the 1 rep max. And I think what worked for me well, and I preach this all the time, is lifting a little bit lighter, somewhere between 65 and 85% of your 1 rep max, and just doing it more frequently. So you're able to gain better technique from it, and you're also able to gain more exposure, more volume over time, more gains.
Yep.
That's
More
kinda-
gains.
That's
That's it.
That's basically
That's a
it.
game.
Playing the frequency game.
No, I know.
Do one more.
We'll do one more. Give me some inspiration. How to lose belly fat. How to lose belly fat.
Ab circuits.
Loads of Russian twists.
Loads of Russian twists.
Crunchies.
Loads of them.
How to lose belly fat. Go on.
Belly flat.
Belly flat.
I mean,
belly fat.
I feel like you can't spot reduce fat for one. So losing fat in general, your body's going to obviously lose it. And there is the body that's going to lose it. However, there's obviously, if you're looking at, you want abs, right? That's why you want to lose belly fat. You want to see more abs or see more tone. I'm assuming that's the reason why you would Google that answer and be like, okay, how to lose belly fat. Now, obviously, if you do train your core loads and you increase the size of the muscle, then you would start to see the muscle shape quicker before the fat's lost. However,
do you think that applies to everyone? No?
However, would most people want that? Would most people want a bigger core, a bigger ab region? Do you see what I mean? Like maybe some people would, but the typical fat loss or weight loss client, do they want the waist to be smaller usually?
Maybe if it's more specifically females or whatever, I guess.
So train your core, but like look at losing fat like in a whole. You can't spot reduce that area.
I think as well for, I suppose, the kind of population and stuff that I train mostly, like for females and stuff to get down to a level of body fat that's going to reveal their abs and whatever, is it terribly healthy for them to be there long term?
You have maybe one in so many people that just naturally have low body fat in that area when they lose it, and you can see their abs.
A lot of it is definitely genetics, where, because there's a couple of people that maybe I've worked with in the past, or even some friends. In fact, I'll shout him out. My man Rabo, right?
That's a made up name.
It's not a big Rabo. Johnny
How
Robertson.
do you know it's called Rabo?
Johnny Robertson. He's a good lad. Like he would maybe start like bulking up a little bit, or he would start to gain weight. Whereas he just always had abs. He just always had abs. And like, even as he started to gain like fat around his stomach, it would grow into the shape of abs. I swear it was the weirdest thing. Flabs, yes. We'll chuck up a picture. Here he is. And some people just genetically are just predispositioned. Good word. Does that make sense? Predisposed. Bad word.
Good England.
Bad England. To having, genetically bigger biceps, bigger quads, better abs, bigger bums, bigger tits, like whatever it may be, people just genetically have those things. You know what I mean?
Can we say that?
What?
Did we allowed to say that?
He said that.
We'll do another couple because we covered the fat loss one a little bit. I want to go into another one. How to gain muscle. We spoke about how to lose fat, but how to gain muscle. The one underneath that's how to gain muscle fast. We've kind of covered the fast bit, but go into the kind of specifics of how to gain muscle.
You take this one away.
I take this one.
It's your stick.
That's my stick. I'd say how to gain muscle. There's a couple of things. Obviously, you need to be lifting weights. You need to be eating adequate amount of protein and calories. And then you also need to be probably sleeping enough. I would say those are your three main things to start off with. Obviously, you can go super specific, but your three things: you need to be lifting weights frequently, you need to be eating enough calories and protein, and you need to be sleeping enough.
Loads of sex.
For a sufficient amount of time.
Yes. Aye, there you go. That's probably number 4. For a long amount of time, whether that be 12 weeks, not long enough, try 12 months. Like that's probably the thing that you need to do. One of my clients, actually, Ross, I've worked with him. I worked with him in person for about a year and a bit, and then worked with him online for maybe about, a couple months now. And he's one of those guys who's just shown up he's not done anything special, anything fancy. He's just shown up. He's went to the gym. He's lifted the weights, sets and reps I've told him to. He's ate the calories I've told him to. And he's just done that for over a year. And then I'll bump into some of his friends, whether that be, like I bumped into one of his mates the other day in Beaker. Shout out Beaker. And he was like that. Yeah, Ross, by the way, you see the size of him these days. He's like the amount of muscle he's gained, how he used to look and how he looks now. And people see what he's like now, but they don't see what's happened over the course of 12, 16, 18 months. And it has been that relentless consistency.
Goes back to what you said about the process, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Just focusing on that. That's it.
Like, people, the issue with that is people get bored
That's what I was gonna
before
say,
they
aye.
before they get a result.
Yeah.
That's both ends, putting on muscle, weight loss,
It's
whatever.
not. It's the stuff you need to do is not sexy. It's
Oh,
not
no.
fun. It's not
It's
whatever.
it's boring as shit a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But the by kind of doing the boring stuff repeatedly, at the end of it, you're going to be in a much better position.
That's what Alex Big Alex Hormozy, he talks about. He says,
Shout out, Alex.
Shout out Alex Hormozy. Lots of shout outs this episode. He says one of his big things is do the boring work.
So,
And he's talking about that from like a business perspective or an entrepreneurial standpoint, whereas it also applies in health, fitness, building muscle, losing fat, all of these
does.
things. Just do the boring work.
And on the subject of that, so I have a client just now, and I've experienced it, and no doubt we've all experienced it, when you know the client gets to a point, well, I know for a fact that anyway, clients I get to, they've lost the fat, and they've now in a position where if they continue to lose fat, they've not got the muscle there in a certain area, for example, let's say legs, where what will happen if we continue to lose fat, yes, your circumferences might get lower, yes, if we continue to lose weight, yes, your circumferences might get lower, but the appearance necessarily, like when's that going to change? So
You touched on this, Evan, is like you need to spend time
You need-
gaining tissue,
100%.
gaining muscle, eating more calories.
So
Everyone
the
needs
things.
to spend time doing
do
that.
the things.
Do the things.
So what would you say to someone, right, who's like, how would you explain to someone who's struggling to understand that? Because let's think, what's most of the stuff you see online, right? Weight loss, fat loss. It's like big, right? It's everywhere.
Aye.
People's always about the weight loss. Weight loss is the biggest goal. Like achieving success is weight loss, right? That's a big mindset thing for a lot of people. They believe that. So what would you say to someone who is at a point where you know they need to be either maintenance or above in terms of calories, eating adequate protein, obviously, really focusing on trying to build lean tissue, not focusing on scale weight? What would you say to them?
I think, well, for them, you need to turn the question back on them. You need to ask them, well, what do you want? Like, because it doesn't matter what we want or what we know. It matters what the client wants. It matters what.
But there
their
has to be
goal
an
is.
element of what they want and what you know.
No,
they
this is
need.
what I'm saying. So you need to ask them what they want. Well, I want to either be more confident or lose weight or build muscle or look a certain way, right? So whatever their goal is, obviously if it's within reason and it's healthy, we deem it to be healthy or whatever, then it's our job to then educate them and say, well, if your goal is X, here's how you do it through A, B, C.
Totally.
Like that's the process you do it, and you then you reverse engineer it instead of trying to throw your, because we're full of knowledge, we know all these things, and we try and throw it down people's throats. They're not interested in that. They're not interested in what we know. They're interested in the result.
Exactly.
So we say, you want this result, here's how we get there, right? And it might have to take a little bit of time in educating some of your clients or educating some of your followers or whoever it may be, to have a little bit of a mindset shift. And that just doesn't always happen like that. People have to trust you, and then hopefully people trust you because you've had a whole plethora good
word.
words
Good word.
of
Somebody read the
results
thesaurus this morning.
of other client results and say, like, look,
You're bang on.
I had Janice here. She had the exact same goals
Shout
that
out
you
Janice.
wanted. Shout out Janice. She doesn't exist. She wanted the exact same things that you wanted. She was in the same position you were in, and we had the same discussion. She went from here to here. Let's do the same with you.
Yep.
And
That's education. That's what I was looking at. It's
basically it.
education.
And we'll do one last one. I said we'll do one last one, but I said the word confidence, and then one of the things in here is how to gain. A couple things down is one of them's how to gain motivation, but one of them's how to gain more confidence. Now that could be just in day-to-day life, or it can also be within the gym. I've got some thoughts on that, but I'm going to turn this to you, Evan.
You need to do the scary things.
Okay.
Because confidence, there's a saying, confidence is in...
I've got it. I've got it.
Have you got the saying?
Well, I might not be the same one, but the thing that I heard, and it was, I can't remember where I got it from, so I unfortunately can't shout the person out. But confidence starts after the thing.
That's the
not
thing.
not before it. So if you go into something too confident, you probably started it a little bit too late. Like, do you think anybody that's done anything significant is confident as soon as they walk into it? Definitely not.
It comes after the thing.
It comes after the thing, so you kind of need to do the thing first to gain that confidence. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. Whether that be speaking on camera like we are. Remember the first one we did? We were all shitting ourselves. My name is Evan. I do PT.
I'm a PT man. Nice beard, please.
That's it. And it's like, even like walking in today, there's still like somewhat kind of a little bit of nerves coming in to do something that's new to us. And I'm sure over time, as we do more and more of these episodes, we're going to get more confident at doing that. It applies in anything else. Somebody going for a new job, someone going for a promotion, speaking on camera, starting a new business, going to the gym. You have to do the thing first. You're absolutely right. Any closing thoughts then, guys, on this?
No, that was a good first run.
I agree.
Good first run. That was the No Rep podcast. In brackets, not a CrossFit podcast.
Currently named No Rep.
Currently named No Rep. We might have to cut this. We'll be back next week.
Yeah.
In the cyber world. We'll be back next week with a new episode on... We've not decided yet.
We'll see how it goes.
Cheers.
Done.